What's up, y'all? We're finally back with another recruiting graphic breakdown. I had to do one for the Obi-Wan Kenobi series, so I tried to base it on the poster but give it an app-state spin. So without further ado, let's break it down. So we started off with putting the poster in the background to give me like a reference of kind of the look that I wanted. I found this mountain landscape. It's not to the right proportions, but it's kind of hard to tell what the right proportions are. Obviously, like if you analyze it, you can see that like he would be a giant if he was actually standing there, but in some ways it looked alright, so I just left it the way it was and ended up using this background anyway, even if it does look a little funky, you know. It's not that big of a deal. So anyway, I changed the color of the background by using multiple things: color balance, selective color, color lookup, to kind of try and give it that look that the Obi-Wan Kenobi cover has. That's like that sort of like dusty, sandy, you know, rustic look, I guess is how I would put it. And then I dropped in a cutout, and I obviously had to make it look generic and then put the 23 jersey on there. So I cut off a helmet and then cut out a 23 from another jersey and then put that on top of him, and then just used curves and then hue saturation to make the color look the same and then make the highlights and shadows look the same. So basically it blends in pretty well. It wasn't perfect, but he's pretty small and pretty far away, so it's like hard to tell that I didn't get it right anyway. But anyway, then I found some pictures of some robes online, and it was pretty hard to find pictures that were gonna work the way I wanted them to, especially when you're searching for copyright-free images. But I found this one, and I had to cut it out, which kind of stinks, but took the time to do that, and then did content aware fill to replace his hands to basically make it look like just a robe, and then just drug that over top, warped it, and tried to fit it on his body the best way I could. So then I just used a layer mask to cut around the jersey so it kind of looks like there's an opening in the robe, and then like basically just cut around the edges and sort of tried to make it look like it was kind of flowing behind him a little bit, which was kind of hard to make it look natural, but I think we got there in the end. So then I had to add some shading as well to obviously make it look like it's on him. Then I added in a color balance and tweaked the color of mainly the blacks, because most of the cutout in the robe is black. So I tweaked it to kind of blend in with the look of the background, which is kind of like that sandy, like tan look, even though, you know, he's on a mountain. But anyway, then I added in this lightsaber that I found, and it's gonna be yellow, so I painted it white because the light source kind of looks more white, and then I added on a glow later. And then I had to fit it in his hand the right way, which was kind of hard because his hand looked kind of weird. But yeah, to use the glow, I just double click the layer, click on outer glow, and then just tweak it. And if outer glow doesn't work, I might use like a drop shadow instead and just turn it into yellow and set it to linear dodge add. So, or one of the other blending modes. But anyway, then I asked Max Renfro, one of our video guys who is just incredible at everything, for some drone shots, and so he let me use this one that he took, and I basically just tried to blend it into the background behind that mountain to make it look like our field was like down there in the valley of the mountains behind him, which is kind of like how the field is anyway. Like it's kind of in between some mountains. So then I just added in a selective color to make that look realistic, and I tried to give it as much of a gradient as possible so that it like kind of faded in, because I wanted it to stick out, but I also wanted it to look natural, which is kind of tough to do. So then I came back over and then added on this inner shadow layer, which is a light coming from the top left, because obviously that's where the light source is. You can tell from the brightness of the sky. So there I just brightened him up a little bit where the lightsaber would be like glowing on him, and then I added on I just painted on some glow on the edges of his cloak, and basically just tried to make it look a little more realistic with the light hitting it. It's not perfect, but it's so far away that it's hard to see anyway, so I think I got it pretty good. Then obviously I just darkened up the background here with the curves layer, and then just kept tweaking that picture of the field. And then right here I decided finally that I was going to take out that house in the background, because I was just like, yeah, I'm not going to have some random house in the background. Like, if I'm doing all this work, I'm not just going to leave that house right there. So took that away. Then I cut off his hand and tried to swap it to the other side, because the other hand didn't look right for that, I guess. And this hand looked like it could possibly work, but I think I just ended up like having a few fingers showing, so it's like kind of looks real but also kind of looks goofy. But again, it was so far away that it's hard to really tell anyway, so I think in the end it looked pretty good, and I just put some shading and things on it to make sure it didn't stand out too much. Then here I added in a picture of some planets for the background, which is like, you know, in actual Star Wars there's like multiple suns or moons or whatever for like all these planets and stuff, but like I'm not really doing it based on accuracy. I just thought like, hey, it's Star Wars, let's throw some planets in the background. I think one's a moon and one's a planet, but yeah, I just wanted to make it look a little more interesting, so I added that in, and then messed with another filter to try and give it all a look, tweaked the color some more, basically just kept tweaking it until I got it where I want it. So here's when I started adding in some you know, cloud, fog, dust, whatever you want to call it, just some different textures kind of around him, kind of like flowing over the mountain, and then put a blur on it to make it look even more like it was kind of flowing over the top of that mountain, because in Boone some clouds will like come in and like sometimes drop below like the tops of the mountains, or you can just see like, you know, patches of fog that are below the mountain sometimes. That's kind of cool. So I tried to kind of resemble that look with this, using multiple different like cloud textures and then obviously different blurs. I don't really know what I'm doing there with the directional blur or whatever you call it. But I heard that was like more accurate, so I tried to use that there to really make sure I had the direction right. I think all these brushes, these cloud brushes and some other brushes I was using are like new Adobe brushes that they just like added into Photoshop. But yeah, so then I decided to add a few more clouds to the background over the stadium to kind of make it look, or kind of make it stand out a little bit, because like that, those clouds kind of pull your eye back there. Then I found these little, I don't even know what you call them, but basically something to like go around the title to make it look sort of like those lines that are in the Obi-Wan Kenobi poster, but make it look a little more interesting. So I cut out the one I wanted and then cut it up in the pieces that I wanted, and then obviously switched the names to Rock Boys 23 and then their names in the end. So then I tried to find a texture to kind of look like the one that's in the Obi-Wan poster. Couldn't find, the exact thing, and I didn't want it to be exactly the same anyway, but I found some texture that looked pretty similar, then colored it to make it look similar to the background, and then just used a brush that's set to dissolve to kind of brush away pieces of the title like they have in the Obi-Wan Kenobi poster. It's very subtle, but I thought it was cool, so I wanted to add some of that in there. And it was hard to do. I had to pick the right places because the name is going to change, so it might look weird if the letters are different. So I kind of had to be careful about where I brushed in the debris and stuff. And then here I'm just kind of giving it a little bit of a bevel to make it stand out a little more. I don't think the original Obi-Wan poster had that, but I just, thought it stood out a little bit more with that. And then right there I was adding some lighting to the stadium to make it stand out. And here I'm tweaking the planets a little more because maybe they didn't stand out enough to me. I wanted to make sure they looked cool and like were visible and noticeable back there. And then here I was like, this would be a dope place to put a lens flare, like kind of, from the light source in the background hitting off the lightsaber or something. Don't really know how lens flares work, but decided to use one and made it pretty subtle, but I think in the end it kind of makes it pop a little bit, like gives it a little something extra to draw the eye in, which is kind of cool. And then here I was just like, you know what, we're throwing some pterodactyls in there because why not? I know pterodactyls are probably not in Star Wars, but I was just like, there's some aliens and weird stuff in Star Wars, so why not just throw in some pterodactyls? So let me know what you think in the comments. I appreciate you guys subscribing and watching the videos. I'll try and be more consistent. I just had a lot going on with life. Check out these past couple of videos to see some NFL draft content. But anyway, thanks for watching. Have a good one.